And this is it. I think we're in business. We're doing this solo today. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tier 4 Dutch Grand Prix. Sorry for a bit of a late start there, but we're here in qualifying. 18 minutes of foot to the floor action, as I'm sure you already well know. We have 14 drivers in the session as of qualifying. For that to change in the race, we'll only find out. And here we go, 14 drivers to put in their best times in the session. We had some of the greatest racing that I've seen at this track last night. Let's see if we can get anything better tonight. But here we go then for qualifying. We're watching on with iLegacy in the Ferrari, driver number 2, one of the first drivers out on track as we see it just now. And we'll get some of the detail up for us now. Might help. But yeah, here we are. So actually, correct. The first driver on track at the moment is the Mercedes of VRL Flair, a reserve driver, Alfa Romeo in Tier 5. And as people start to get into the mood for some racing action, it's qualifying, 16 minutes and an average lap time, I believe, of around the 1 minute 10 mark. Will we see anyone reach the 1 minute 10s? We got some of that towards the latter part of the session yesterday. Let's see what we can find today. Quali is forecast to be under wet conditions in just under 5 minutes time. It's going to be a very, very interesting one today, folks, but here we go. We are ready to go here in the dry conditions, but only for now. We're on board with VRL Flair, the first man to start a flying lap as we go into turn 1 of this circuit, one of the narrowest circuits on the calendar, one of high attrition as is known from yesterday. Oh, and a little bit of the rear end coming out of that Mercedes as we go through the banking and up into turn 4 and 5. We're watching a couple drivers go around the track at the moment, almost everybody on their outlap now, but here we go, 18 minutes to go. And about 3 of them already used, of course. The Mercedes seemed to be flying just now, and he's keeping on the track, almost off the track and into the grass. It's going to be a really tricky one. If you think it's a bit of a slidey track already, just wait until it gets wet. As you can see, already some yellow flags, but most likely just drivers being let by, but not this time, because it's the McLaren of Astrojet, I believe. Goodness knows what's happened there. Not a clue. And unfortunately we can't find it now, but we'll watch on with the Mercedes of VRL Flair. I believe is just about to finish their first lap. We're going to get a little bit of a kind of a, I don't know what the phrase would be, maybe a benchmark time, and there it is, a 1:11.8, which is beaten immediately into the 1 minute 10s for iLegacy in the Ferrari. First Rambo goes third, a 1:11.9 in the Aston Martin, but iLegacy already bringing us into the 1 minute 10s and very on in the session indeed. But here we go. Everyone's going to be out on the track, and no wonder, especially with rain being forecast on the way. And it's going to be full wet to light rain in the race, so it's going to be a very interesting Grand Prix indeed. As we watch the Mercedes start to let some drivers by, and the times are starting to come in. 1:11, but a 1:10.9 still being the time to beat. Looks like Sion didn't really get the lap in that he would have wanted, a 1 minute 21. Not exactly what he'd be looking for at all. TRC Limitless in the Red Bull, he goes second quickest with a 1 minute 11.2, and Purple in the third sector. 8 of our 16 drivers now have made their times, and as we see more and more drivers begin to join the session a little bit late on. Ooh. I'm trying to get all things sorted here. We are on solo commentary at the moment, unfortunately. Captain Angus in the Aston Martin going third quickest with a 1:11.499. There's some yellow flags, most likely drivers just letting each other by. And yeah, we got a bit of a traffic jam on the second last corner here. And I think it's IFC Pines also trying to make a lap time out of it. But we already have one retirement from this session, the McLaren of Astrojet, out even before he's able to make a lap time. So at best, he'll be in P16. Unfortunately, not quite the attendance we would have hoped for Tier 4, but we're doing okay nonetheless. We're getting there now. I'm just bringing up the information that I need. It's been a bit of a rough start to the stream tonight. However, we're on and we're in, and we've got multiple drivers out on track. As I said, for those of you who have missed it, there are going to be wet weather conditions very soon in this session. And I believe we may have a Red Bull that's gone round as well. Oh, and we nearly had another one go around there as well. In the last 2 corners though, TRC Limitless must have had some, I think he's had some sort of spin, maybe some sort of accident there. He's not starting a lap, he's going to be into the pit lane. Anyway, we'll watch on. This is the man on provisional pole with the time to beat, the only driver currently in the 1 minute 10s. We watch on with VX Ghost in the Red Bull. Doesn't look like he's going to be on a lap, he's not going to be anywhere near competitive with that time. Jordy Stan goes third quickest, takes that time from the Aston Martin, and oh blessing, he's out. That's him out of this qualifying session for now, and not really what we'd want to see. More and more retirement. It's not even wet weather conditions yet. Whoa. And it looks like a possible, even a retirement on track, which is not something you really want to see, as we know, against the rules here at IFC, unfortunately. Cars are starting to go back into the pit lane now, and it seems like iLegacy remains on top. He's about to go into the garage now, on one of the quickest times on the soft tyre, or at least for now. If you reckon that we'll be seeing some wet weather conditions soon, I'd bank on it, especially with Sion, who's currently in the session, saying that rain is on the forecast for now. However, most drivers in now. Any driver that's out just now, including ADS, who's gone purple in the middle sector, will go on board with him for a lap. And as you can see, the rain starting to come down on the halo column. He's really not going to like the look of that purple in the first sector, but he's going to be losing grip through these next few sectors. I think somebody already has. It's Callum in the Haas, who I think might have gone round there. DRS opens on the Haas whilst he can still use it, as in the wet weather conditions. DRS does become disabled eventually. But here we are with ADS at the bottom of the time so far. Purple in the first sector, a good time in the second sector, not enough to go quickest, but as you can see, the rain is starting to come down here at Holland. Round the final corner, round the banking, and down the start finish straight. Number 88 in the Haas, passing some debris that was left there by the pit entry to go across the line and into 4th place, and a really strong lap considering the conditions that he's currently working with. And now the only driver left to hopefully improve on his time in the damp would be this man right here, VAX Ghost. But I don't think it's going to happen, not under these conditions, certainly not. But here we go, 16 people left in the session, a 1 minute 10.9, maybe the time to beat, but can it even be beatable? These conditions have changed so much, it's almost a guaranteed pole position for the Ferrari if you can keep it in this session, and if it doesn't get dry again, then it may well be unbeatable as drivers start to file out of the pits. New soft tyres, it looks like time could still be competitive. V8X Ghost goes P3 in the Red Bull. TRT Marcus, maybe our first victim of the wet weather conditions, is out of this session. Was it a spin? I think it might have been a spin. And Marcus is out of the session. Now 3 drivers who have been eliminated from qualifying before the end. There are only 4 cars left in the pit lane and are still competing in this session. Look at the amount of drivers who have gone out on these new tyres. They're trying to make the most of these dry or wet conditions. Yellow flags all over the place, and I believe Haas has gone round behind us. However, we go on board with the Ferrari around the final 2 corners to start his lap. They're all going to be doing their outlaps as if they were quali laps to get round as quick as they can. Try and beat the rain if they can. But here we go. We've got Ferrari starting the lap. The man currently on provisional pole. The man who holds the time to beat. He's going to have to watch out that traffic leaving the pit lane. The pair of Williams there, they've both gone out, maybe playing the team game, maybe giving each other a tow. I suppose we'll find out. But they need to beat the rain. That is the key for qualifying at the moment. iLegacy could well hold on to this pole. Would he even need to do this lap? I suppose we'll find out the conditions by the end of his flying lap. I don't think we're going to see any improvements personally. There's now only 1 driver left in the pit lane, and it's ADS in the Haas, the last person to enter the pits. But Legacy has gone purple in the first sector, so despite the rain, there's still opportunity for improvement here. Legacy, purple in the first sector as he comes round turn 10 and into the DRS zone. There's yellow flags, and I think it's one of the Ferraris just going ever so slightly slow there. DRS still enabled in this session. Is he going to make it purple in the second sector? No, he's not. He's 2 tenths down is iLegacy, our man on pole position at the moment. He's going to be coming around the final 2 corners. We'll get his time soon enough. This is TRC Limitless, who's also starting his lap in the Red Bull as he goes through the first sector. We're going to see if he can make any improvement on the wet weather. But here we go. Legacy. We're going to watch the poleman hopefully try to improve on his time. Is he? No, he's not. He's going to pit. So TRC Limitless, the man in P2, also on a lap at the moment. V8X Ghost is currently in the pit lane. But the Ferrari, who's currently on pole, is putting a lot of courage into the fact that he's staying in that position. VRL Flair has been disqualified from the session. The man in the Mercedes has been disqualified for driving the wrong way. And could you not think that that could be going onto the gravel? And I feel ever so slightly bad for him now. Maybe a little unfair if he had to make some sort of action to get out of the gravel trap that way. That's VRL Flair relegated to the back. His car's not pitting, but he's going to be right at the back for the race start. The man on pole is currently in the pit lane, and the rain is now coming down here at Zandvoort. VX Ghost in 3rd place. Is he going to try and improve on his lap? He's on an out lap just now with 7 minutes 30 left in the session. And we've got another one off the track, and I don't know who that is. I think that's the Aston Martin of Captain Angus, who's just retired from the session in the pit lane. Maybe that's his qualifying over. IFC Pines, I believe, starting his lap. No, he was finishing a lap with a 1.8 seconds disadvantage to his last lap time. There's yellow flags in the pit lane. That will be somebody who is retiring in the pits. But as we see it, Legacy in the Ferrari maintains pole position. And you have to think, is the battle for pole now still in play? Is there still going to be any chance that anyone else can take pole position away from the Ferrari? I can't help but think that that wouldn't be the case. Not anymore, not in these conditions. DRS still enabled. But you have to ask for how long. ADS not starting his lap well. He's just gone onto the gravel on the start-finish straight there. There's a Mercedes behind him, I believe, or not a Mercedes, an Alpine active subset, who's currently in P13 at the moment. He'd love to improve on his time if he can. We're going to go on him for a lap, especially in the first sector. We're going to see how his time can possibly improve in these dry conditions. Let's see exactly what he can come up with. There's yellow flags and I think it's a Red Bull crash, and yeah, it's V8X Ghost who's went off there. And active subset, 700ths, correction, off in the first sector. Oh, and that is a crash for ADS. And I think that's him out the session. It is. Nobody is faring well in these conditions, but especially not that Haas, going round, most likely hitting the wall on the left side there. And there he is there. Whoa. And we're lucky that there's ghosting enabled for crashed cars in this game, otherwise Mutke would have been toasting the AlphaTauri there. Running the number 10 of Pierre Gasly for the Lord only knows what reasons. Going over the curb there, V8X Ghost not faring well with that wing damage either. And look just how the rain is coming down here. I think this might be it now for Legacy, who has struck gold with these qualifying conditions. He's still on pole position, and I can't see the conditions getting any better. Legacy remains on pole position. Most drivers who are still in this session are now in the pit lane. There are 2 drivers on their outlap. TRC Limitless, who I can't see continuing for another lap. First Rambo is also out of the session. Was it a pit lane retirement, you may ask? And I believe it may have been. There are 2 cars. Now this is V8X Ghost, who has wing damage, and this is TRC Limitless. They've both severely slowed down now, and I don't know exactly why. I think it might be another case of the team game down at Red Bull Honda. He's going to try and get the toe down the straight from V8X Ghost as he'll go into the pit lane. He's going to give TRC that advantage on the start finish straight. He's going to get the top speed, and he's going to get away for yet another lap time. Here we go then. We'll go on board with this driver here in the Red Bull, currently P2. He's looking to put it on pole position. Are these conditions dry enough for the slicks to still keep that grip and still keep that temperature enough that the lap time in qualifying is competitive? But it's not going to be, because he's in the wall and at the same place that his teammate V8X Ghost went into the wall at the start of qualifying. Well, he's done it again. Maybe not damage for the Red Bull this time around, but it'll certainly be his lap time over for sure. There is only 1 more car out on a lap. The Williams, or sorry, there are 3 more cars out on a lap. The Williams of Nuki Boy filling in from Tier 5. Scion Desert in the McLaren, and I believe just pitting the Alpine of active subset. Let's watch on with Scion. Oh, and getting onto the curb there, and it all out of place in the second sector, or towards the end of the second sector. DRS somehow still enabled in this session. And here we go then, let's see. There's no improvement, a 1 second disadvantage to his last lap time. I can't help but think the times are no longer improving. V8X Ghost in the Red Bulls retired in the pit lane, or at least so I believe. TRC Limitless, the other Red Bull out on track, is on his way, I'd assume, back to the pit lane as well. So that means there's still cars going out on outlap, still trying to improve on their time, whilst the softs are still a competitive tyre. This is craziness. I mean, I've never seen such kind of in-between conditions where even I can't tell, would it be a good call to go on to these intermediates? Would it be a good call to stay on the slicks? Because, I mean, you're putting a gamble down with your time. If you're going to try and get a lap in on those dry tyres, you're going to be using a dry set for the race. Do drivers really want to take that risk on an attempt to improve on their lap? One driver who is doing that at the moment is URC Nuki Boy in the Williams. This is his sector 1 time, coming right up now. What's it going to be? Is it still going to be competitive? It is barely competitive. 300s up, and that's from a time in P5. Oh, and getting all out of place and out of the session is URC Nuki Boy. And I did say these conditions were going to get challenging. Maybe the time at the start was competitive. Not anymore, however. Mutke, the only other driver out on track. Let's see how he can improve in Sector 1. Is he going to suffer the same fate as that Williams? Let's find out. The man yet to set a time. For the first sector we go. And he's kept it clean there. Into the second sector, not as clean. Not as clean at all. Was it maybe a lap time invalidation? I can't see a world where it wasn't, truth be told. Is DRS still going to be enabled? Yes, it is. And he's going to get that rear wing open. This is craziness. I mean, this is just... how they've kept the DRS enabled here. How the conditions are this... It's almost like it's both wet and dry constantly now. Looks like the rain is getting heavier on the halo column of this AlphaTauri though. 2 cars now still out on the track, and there are only 5 or 6 cars left in this session who haven't crashed or retired in the pit lane and called it a day for qualifying. This is Jordy Stan, one of only 2 cars out on the track at the moment. Mutke goes 4th quickest, and a really strong lap considering the conditions in the AlphaTauri. I really thought it was going to be the pit lane for him. No, it was not, and a really strong time for a man with a really strong quality performance yesterday in Tier 5. Very, very good job for the AlphaTauri. Jordy Stan, the only other driver out on the track. Let's get ourselves a lap here, but we're not going to get a lap here because it's collision with the wall at the final corner. Again. And a further collision with the wall just to take that front wing off. A bit of weight reduction on the way into the pit entry for Jordy Stan in the Alfa Romeo. And you've got to think at one point there's got to be a time where the drivers just say enough is enough. Time to either go on these inters or call it a day in qualifying. And with 1 minute remaining, it is time to call it a day in qualifying. iLegacy in the Ferrari, who currently remains in the pit lane with a 1 minute 10.997 lap time, is the only driver in IFC Tier 4 to reach 1 minute 10s in qualifying and is on pole position. The man in the Ferrari, who I believe is filling in as a reserve driver. He's on pole, and for the second time, well, we've got a reserve on pole. We had one in Tier 5, and we've got one in Tier 4 today with only 30 seconds left in the session. That's it over for qualifying. Mutke's out on the track just now. I can't see a world where he's not just going to come into the pit lane or take the checkered flag. Wow, that was a qualifying and a half. We have a Ferrari on pole. We have a Red Bull in P2 for the second consecutive time here at IFC. TRC Limitless is P2, followed by V8X Ghost in P3 in the sister Red Bull. Echoes of the race result that we had last night with, I believe, I can't exactly remember who, which is a little bit embarrassing. We've got Red Bulls 2 and 3 and AlphaTauri in 4th place, followed by an Alfa Romeo of Jordy Stein P5 for Alfa Romeo. And that is it. Here are your times then. For Ferrari, followed by the Scotsman TRC Limitless, V8X Ghost P3 in Red Bull. Mutke in the AlphaTauri is P4, followed by the Alfa Romeo, Jordy Stan in P5. Yorsi Nuki Boy in the Williams is followed very closely by his teammate TTM Chisu in the sister Williams. There's the Haas of ADS P8, Captain Angus in the Aston Martin P9, and the sister Ferrari to one that is on pole at the moment is IFC Pipe P10, Callum 8869 in the other Haas is P11. Now rounding off the bottom 10 is First Rambo, Scion, Active Subset, TRT Marcus, Obless and Astrojet, and VRL Flair, who was disqualified from the session at the start for driving the wrong way in the Mercedes, starts P18 and at the back of the grid for the time being. And we're going to get ready now for qualifying, or for the race, very, very shortly. I must say that was quite something indeed. I mean, that was quite a performance. Quite something indeed. We're going to be going in for a 50% race under wet conditions as well.
Through the wastelands, through the highways.
Right, here we go then. Formation lap, and it is wet conditions again. Is it enough for the intermediate? It is. So, for a session that was both dry and wet in qualifying, that saw Ferrari on pole as a reserve driver from pretty much the get-go of the session. Oh, and already, our Red Bull's pulled a Sergio Perez and is in the wall just after turn 2 there. He's going to fall down the order. He'll be able to bring himself back up. Oh, Blessing's been disqualified from the formation lap, and there are two cars who've decided simply not to do the formation lap. These are Zoe and Christian, who have, I believe, just joined the session, who are behind a man who was disqualified from qualifying. That's VRL Flair in the Mercedes, who starts P18 instead of P20, where he would have because he was disqualified from qualifying. However, there are 3 cars now that remain on the grid, one being disqualified from the formation lap, of course. There's the Ferrari now of iLegacy, who led qualifying, and he's gone round as well. No one knows exactly where the grip is yet, and there's no dry line on the track in their defence. However, this is the formation lap. If you're pushing that much that you're going to have to spin, well, something's not right, surely. I mean, maybe it's time for wet weather, or maybe there's just no dry line. I suppose we'll all find out. The dry line will come into play around lap 3, but for now, I mean, look, there's cars all over the place now. But now, iLegacy's going to have to try and find his way back up to pole position to get into his grid slot, because if he can't, then I'm pretty sure he just goes through the other cars. But the predicted pit stop strategy, as you can see, intermediates will last us around 18 laps, maybe a 1-stop or a 2-stop strategy. If drivers are going to be aggressive, we may see that in the bottom 10. However, we've got the Ferrari trying to siphon himself back up through the order, getting for everyone else. We've not seen any more spinners. We've got the Mercedes of VRL Flair, who's just out of Sector 1 now. There's cars being disqualified from the formation lap all over the place, and I don't think anyone realises the Ferrari on pole positions right behind them, because we've got a traffic jam already in the final 2 corners. And here we go now, around the final corner, and I think we're not going to have that much more collision now. As we get ready, the car's going onto the grid. There's no dry line now. It's going to be a really difficult start for a lot of our drivers, especially with, it may well be full wet conditions, but a lot of drivers, I think all the drivers now starting on the intermediate tyre. I just don't think it would be the right call, but I suppose it will only tell under race conditions what tyre we're going for here. But here we go, everyone's here now, including VRL Flair, who I believe's caught up. No, he hasn't, actually. Looking at exactly the wrong car. This is VRL Flair now, or Christian, who has started his formation lap. I don't know why he wouldn't just stay in position, but here we are now, nonetheless, as he comes around the final corner. It'll be another little while until the race starts. And we've got an AlphaTauri's had a little bit of trouble getting round to the grid, I think, because he's in the wall, or something's happened there to number 8. I can't quite tell where he is at all, really. Something's gone wrong. There's an AlphaTauri sideways on the second last row of the grid. Something has gone tremendously wrong for the Honda powered car there. As we watch for Christian, who's still trying to make his way around, something has gone wrong. I think he's just going for another formation lap, I think. So, I think we're going to have to restart. I believe that may be the way to go now. Oh dear. Yeah, someone thinks they're racing already. Okay, we'll be back. We need to restart the session now, I think. We need to restart the formation lap. So, yeah, we'll be back in not long at all.
wanna mess me up. Tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. Drive me around in no red Ford. Shivers down my spinal cord. Oh, 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 oh. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes sound funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. free falling. I'm so caught in this world, so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this world, so lost.
All the feelings that we share with the past. Your relationships are never meant to last. All the feelings that we share with the past. Your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on.
if you stay. I can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I tell you though, 'cause I'm feeling so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, severe apologies for that little outage that we had just there. We're back in for qualifying, or back in for the race. Qualifying is over, and after that small formation lap hiccup, we are ready to go. We're back in these wet conditions, and we are ready to go again. Obviously, for those of you who weren't here for qualifying, we're in Holland. We're in Zandvoort. And we're getting ready for yet another race. Qualifying's over with a Ferrari on pole, followed by the Red Bull pairing in the top three. It's going to be a hell of a race, and especially in a race of high attrition with a hell of a lot of rain. So, we get ready to go in just a little second here, folks. Sorry, I'm really sorry about the about the little hiccup that we had pre-start there, but we are in and ready to go at last. We're just waiting for everyone to be connected up and ready to go. And thereafter, we will be ready to go. This is a really bad time for my stream to be bugging, I think, because I believe my stream is screwing up a little bit. But we're getting there. I think we are ready to go now. I don't know what's going on with my stream just now, but it looks like the output is quite low quality. But we're making those improvements slowly but surely. Here we go now. The final 10 seconds before we get ready. We're going straight to the race start this time around, and we are ready to go. Here we are then. 14 drivers racing today as we get ready for 5 red lights ahead of our drivers here at Zandvoort. And it's lights out and away we go, and in these wet conditions it looks like the Ferrari has got the best of the rest, and it is Legacy in the lead. The Red Bull pairing stay practically even at the lower part of the track. Look at the amount of drivers going side by side in these wet conditions. Bit of contact between the Alpine of Active and the Alfa Romeo of TRT Marcus. Down into turn 4 we go. We're past turn 1, practically clean, and it's even in the top 5. Legacy leads, TRC Limitless, V8X Ghost, Mutke, Jordistan, Captain Angus, IFC Pines. Captain Angus getting ahead then of the Alfa Romeo maybe. And speaking of Alfa Romeo, we've got Marcus, who has come off the track and missing his front wing. And I think it might have been contact with the wall there. In the lead still, the Ferrari of IFC Legacy, or of iLegacy, maintaining the lead in that Ferrari now. And the Red Bull pairing right on his tail, including TRC Limitless, who is trying his best to get past and into the lead. And it has been very clean a getaway for most of our drivers, excluding of course TRT Marcus, spinning in the first sector there. And considering the wet conditions on a racetrack this tight, I'd say that was a pretty clean getaway, especially for iLegacy, basically unchallenged for the first lap here. But we are away, and we are cleanly away. 1.5 seconds of difference. Mutke getting past TRC Limitless, who seems to have disconnected from the session. He's going to fall down the order like hell now. He's way back. He's down in P6 already. He's being passed by practically everyone. iLegacy sets the opening time about 26.7. Bad luck again for the Red Bull. He'll be falling down the order. He's in ghost mode now. There's no consequence to try and race this man. And there's no attempt at trying to race this man. iLegacy in the Ferrari. 2 seconds almost. The advantage between him and the Red Bull. He is dominant in these wet weather conditions now, in these intermediate tyres. He is way ahead of the rest. The Alfa Romeo of TRT Marcus is coming into the pit lane for Alfa Romeo. And we got a spinner, and I believe it's first Rambo in the Aston Martin, who has retired from the session, and he's retired on track, and this will be big trouble in the eye of the stewards. First Rambo, our first retirement from this session, just midway through lap 2, but back up with the rest of the pack. We are through, and we are through clean. iLegacy, a dream getaway, 1.6 seconds the difference. TRC Limitless is now right at the back after being on the front row at the start, and he's only just rejoined the session now. He's going to have it all to do in this session. iLegacy leads V8X Ghost in the sister Red Bull followed very closely by Captain Angus in the Aston Martin, making it from outside of the top 5 into the podium places. Mutke in the AlphaTauri, IFC finds in the sister Ferrari to the one currently in the lead, Callum 8869, one of the 2 Haas in this pairing, and it's one of the 2 that are both currently in the points. Captain Angus sets the quickest lap of 1:24.4 behind the Haas. Active Subset in the Alpine is trying his best to keep up. Jordy Stan is very, very close behind him. Then Scion Desert in the McLaren, ADS in the other, Haas in the top 10. 11th, Astrojet. 12th, TRC Limitless, who has it all to make up and is just only ahead of TRT Marcus, who is way behind everyone else. And first Rambo, of course, out of this session. We've lost the interval timings at the moment, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, but we're not going to have timings for at least another little while. What a start for this Ferrari driver here. That has been absolutely crazy, and he's still got a massive advantage to our other drivers here. I've never seen somebody master these wet conditions from the get-go. When the dry line is barely there, we can only now see it coming into play now. And Legacy still going purple in these sectors whilst he leads the race. That's most likely because Angus, our current fastest lap holder, is stuck right behind the Red Bull V8X Ghost. But he's going to be trying for a move around the last final 2 corners. Is he going to make it? He's not going to make it here, but he's got a much better exit. This could be the challenge for P2 for the Aston Martin. We've seen terrific performances from the Aston Martin teams over this weekend. Is he going to make a move? He might make the move down the inside. Here we go for the Aston Martin. Active Subset out of the session. Looks like a spin on the last corner. Could it be a safety car? The Aston Martin of Captain Angus is going to try and get this move done as soon as he can. And out of turn 1, he's into P2. 1.7 seconds the difference between him and iLegacy. And Active Subset in the Alpine is out of this race. Captain Angus take about an excellent move around the outside in turn 1. Really, really strong from the Aston Martin driver here. And now he's going to be chasing iLegacy. The gap already now down to 1.5 seconds. We could see a duel in the wet between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari. The Red Bull also still able to keep up with Angus, only barely. A simply lovely move in the Holland Hills here for Captain Angus to bring himself further up the podium places from outside the top 5. We're only in lap 4. TRT Marcus only just gets ahead of the tracker for the Alpine. He is way behind the rest. He's really going to be hoping for a safety car at some point throughout this Dutch Grand Prix. 1.1 seconds now the difference between Captain Angus and iLegacy in the Ferrari. IFC Pines and Mutke now racing as well. This is going to be for P4. IFC Pines seems to have the move done. Final 2 corners. Can he keep it on the line? And yes, he can. And he gets ahead of the AlphaTauri. Mutke, who started P4, is now pushed down to P5. As Captain Angus goes on to set another quickest lap of this race. Now he's within a second. But we keep on with this Ferrari battle and a switchback for the AlphaTauri, who goes down the inside, trying to retake 4th place. Has he done it? No, not yet. And the Ferrari holds on to that P1 and P4 for the pairing from Fiorano. Captain Angus now 6 tenths the difference between him and the Ferrari. It looks like Captain Angus has the upper hand in these conditions for the time being. We estimated to get dry by the end of the race, folks, but at the moment the duel in the damp goes between these two, and Captain Angus, who is once again purple first sector and chasing this Ferrari lap after lap after lap. Consistent times in the wet is something you always need, especially at a track of attrition and especially in these wet conditions. And the Aston Martin now right behind this Ferrari here. I wonder if strategy will come into play or it will just be rough racing, and I believe it may go that way between these two here. Captain Angus looking for a race win here, second in the championship standings, looking to take off the reserve iLegacy in the Ferrari. Let's see what he can do. Will we see a move on the main straight? I suppose we'll just about find out. TRT Marcus only just leaving turn 1, and you can't help but think without a safety car he's going to need a hope for a miracle in order to be brought back into this race. Here we go now. We're back on board with the top 2 now, and this is Captain Angus who's going to be chasing. Oh, here we go now, and it looks like a bit of a speed advantage for the Aston Martin into turn 1. Very late on the brakes. Oh, and it's nearly contact. Some would say it was almost contact if it wasn't for a little bit more late braking for the Ferrari as well. The Ferrari IFC Pines possibly with wing damage, and I think it is with wing damage for the Ferrari, who falls down the order. All eyes on the top 2 now, and I think the gap has just opened up ever so slightly. Perfect execution of the ERS for the Ferrari as well as the Aston Martin. They're practically level on battery usage, they're level on the tyres, they're level in these conditions and on equal engines. There's only one that can win, and that's the one with the best racing discipline. Really close to contact again out there in that corner. And obviously you expect these things in the wet, however, it is so close to contact again. Obviously hoping for clean racing here. We're seeing that so far. It's so far so good. But however, TRT Marcus already at the back of the grid has multiple warnings and a 3-second time penalty as he goes onto the grass there a little bit as well. Things go from bad to worse for the IFC admin. Currently in P12, that 30-second gap looks more like 33 seconds now by the end of this race. However, on the race for the lead, Captain Angus now also still right on the rear end, right on the gearbox of that Ferrari. Down the start finish straight we go. Has Angus got the speed? It looks like he's got the speed. Could he go for another opportunistic move on the inside of turn 1 or around the outside? He's going to try it anyway. And the Aston Martin round the outside has position, but it's a virtual safety car. And terribly timed VSC here. And look at them. They're both equal. They're swapping positions now. And Captain Angus at this virtual safety car leads the Grand Prix. A very controversial overtake. I'm sure Legacy won't be happy with taking that one. That's because Marcus has had a crash at turn 4. Marcus is out and Captain Angus leads this Grand Prix. TRC Limitless now into the pit lane. Was it a wing replacement? I suppose we'll find out very soon. And I believe the virtual safety car will be ending soon. TRT Marcus out this Grand Prix. 11 drivers remain as of lap 7 of 36. And here we go, a drive-through penalty for ADS for speeding under the virtual safety car. And I believe also the same for V8X Ghost. Green flag racing again, and the roles have flipped because Captain Angus leads this Grand Prix, the man second in the Tier 4 standings, and once again finds himself chased by the Ferrari who previously led this Grand Prix from the lights out period. This is the Ferrari of iLegacy who is chasing the Aston Martin. Not too close behind at all is V8X Ghost. 3.4 seconds the difference, including a possible drive-through penalty. We'll take a look at that just now. And yes, it is. It's a drive-through penalty for V8X Ghost in the Red Bull, followed by Muki in the AlphaTauri, then Callum in the Haas, Jordy Stan, Scion, ADS, Astrojet, IFC Pines, and TRC Limitless right at the back and 1.3 seconds off the Ferrari, who is currently in the points position. And it looks like V8X Ghost is in the pits. He's into the pits for Red Bull. And that is to serve that drive-through penalty, and so is the Haas of ADS. Nearly 1 second, the gap between Captain Angus and iLegacy. And now forget what I said about dominating the wet conditions. Perhaps on the start, Legacy had the perfect get-go. Captain Angus, however, it's not exactly the same story because Captain Angus has had that pace from the lights out period now to here. He leads this Grand Prix by 1.5 seconds. Muki 6 seconds off the lead, and Callum in the Haas, Jordistan, Scion and Astro running 6th and 7th in the McLarens, who have seen really much better days than this. However, they're back up into the points now. Let's see where we're going to get with this one. 11 drivers remain as of lap 8 of 36. We have 28 laps to go. Question my maths if you will. However, I'm more distracted by this fight up at the top. But the gap has opened significantly. So we have to look throughout the midfield, and it looks really close from P5 and downwards, or at least it did on the GPS. And it looks like 3rd through 6th might see some good racing. 1 minute 20.6 now, the quickest lap from Captain Angus and the Aston Martin, who is leading the top two way out in front. This is some amazing racing in the wet from these two at the top. But in the midfield, are we going to see any overtakes? Is the grid going to stay like this for the rest of the Grand Prix? I suppose we will only find out as we get through the start phase of this Grand Prix. We've seen a couple pit stops, mostly for damage or for drive-through penalties. Could we see anyone bring these inters to the end of the Grand Prix, as we know you're allowed to do in these wet conditions? We saw Esteban Ocon do that at the 2021 Turkish Grand Prix. As I say, I suppose we will only find out. 2 seconds now, the gap between the Ferrari and the Aston Martin. Captain Angus now way out in front, and we have our timings back as well. The gap between the leader and 11th is 31 seconds, and the gap between the leader and 3rd place is 8.8 seconds. The only person really in contention for this win now is Legacy, apart from Captain Angus, of course, who is still leading this Grand Prix and setting fastest laps on his way. Lap 9 of 36. We're getting there now. And as the race starts to pick up traction, we've not had a safety car yet. We've had one virtual safety car after a crash for TRT Marcus. 3 DNFs so far in this Dutch Grand Prix in the wet conditions. Captain Angus again going top of the times, improving on his with a 1 minute 20.488. and he's already at turn 2 and turn 3 before Legacy's even out of turn 1. This is it now. Oh, and off goes ADS in the Haas, and the man who had to serve a time penalty will be relegated back to the pit lane to replace that front nose. That's not what you want to see at all, as he struggles to get grip into those tyres that are now super high temperatures. Not going to help him whatsoever as he goes round again. Oh, and a big clobber with the barrier. He's kept it moving though, and he's going to keep it moving back to the pit lane, hopefully. However, we look forward now to these two here. The battle for 9th place. The Red Bull chasing down the Ferrari, as we thought we might have seen at the start of this race. It's not quite turned out that way. However, we're watching on now as TRC tries to chase down IFC Pines. We've got yellow flags again, and ADS is out of the session. That's right on the start-finish straight, and the Aston Martin Captain Angus will come around to that quite soon. If that's not a safety car, I don't know what is. And a safety car would be quite what a lot of the leaders would want. And it was really close to the wall for Captain Angus, really close to a spin into the wall. And watch for the Haas on the racing line. I mean, come on, how that's not a safety car, I'll have no clue. He's disappeared now, and the green flag is waved. No need for a safety car anymore. 3 seconds now, the gap between iLegacy and Captain Angus, as Mr. Cole in the chat speaks too soon on the Haas keeping all 4 of his wheels on. And if you're looking for a dominant force in the wet, it goes to driver number 37. It goes to Captain Angus here at the moment. 10 drivers remain in this Grand Prix. TRC Limitless looking to hopefully make a move on IFC Pines. He's got nothing to lose. Will we see a late lunge? We might see a late lunge. Oh, and it's going to be later on the brakes on IFC Pines. And he's going to be right on the gearbox of the Ferrari by the time they're exiting turn 2 and up through the winding first sector. This is going to be absolutely tantalising for the Red Bull, who started on the front row. And he's only just fighting for P9 now. And we're only on lap 11 of 36. He's got it all to make up. And he nearly went round Astrojet and I believe Scion Desert. We may see a fight with those two soon enough. The grid is so spread out at the moment, but that's only simply because there's not that many drivers left on the track in these wet conditions. High attrition racetrack. It's a mix, and it is a formula for disaster here, as we have so seen. 14 drivers started this Grand Prix. 10 drivers remain, and it's almost turning into some sort of a derby. 3 tenths, the improvement on Captain Angus's last lap. 4 seconds, the gap between him and iLegacy in P2. He goes again and sets a fastest lap, the first driver into the 1 minute 20s in these wet conditions. The question remains, however, when it comes to the dry conditions towards the end of this Grand Prix, of which we already know is on the way, who's going to perform best? Is Captain Angus going to remain consistent once we hop on to those slick tyres? Will he fall down the order? These are one of those things that we simply don't know. However, Captain Angus leads iLegacy by 4 seconds. Mutke is 7 seconds behind P2. This is absolute craziness. The race can only be won by 2 people at this moment in time. It seems like these two are the dominant force, Captain Angus and iLegacy. But out of these two, well, the person coming out on top here certainly has got to be the Aston Martin in these equal engines. There's no excuse now. It just seems like a dominant drive in these conditions for Captain Angus. Mutke is 11 seconds from the leader. Callum is trying to catch up to the AlphaTauri. Doesn't seem like he can get close enough. Jordistan is just over a second behind him. Scion Desert and Astrojet are right next to each other. They could maybe play the team game, bring in some orders and try and catch up to the cars ahead. VATX Ghost in the Red Bull P8. Then Pines and TRC Limitless. Both Red Bulls down on their original qualifying position. Not really something you want to see at all. TRC Limitless, could we see him try and chase down IFC Pines for P9? Not really a question he'd want to ask himself, considering starting P2 at the start of this race. You have to feel a little for TRC Limitless, the Scotsman in the Red Bull, who has disconnected and falling right down the order from the get-go this Grand Prix. And I feel like a situation that was well out of his control. He's now going to be chasing the Ferrari though, as we go down the start-finish straight. Could it be another opportunistic move? Perhaps. Not this time around, I don't think. A bit later on the brakes, he seems to catch up to the Ferrari at the first corner, then lose him in the rest of the sectors. 5 seconds now, the gap between iLegacy and Captain Angus. If the conditions were to stay wet and for Angus to keep on the track, you'd think it would be a simply dominant win for the Mercedes-powered car. The man driving in the MDA at the moment, the man who is currently second in the standings on 30 points off Trixie Pines, who is currently P9 in this session. How low will the gap be thereafter? It will be a 25-point increase for Captain Angus, which would bring him up to 94 points. And for Trixie Pines, it will be 89 points in the standings for himself by the end of this race. The way things are looking just now, Captain Angus, I believe, would still be second in the standings. The gap, points-wise, would be very much reduced now. 5.8 seconds now, the gap in rapidly increasing. This is something else entirely. However, as we look towards the back of the grid, it seems like the Red Bull TRC Limitless simply cannot get the power down to get past this Ferrari. Is he going to do it this time around? 0.3 seconds the gap. IFC Pines losing a bit of traction there. He's going to drain the battery as the Red Bull of TRC Limitless. He's still going to try and look down the inside. Is he going to look down the inside? Oh, and really close to contact yet again. And he has to stay behind. He cannot get past this guy. And he's going to be kicking himself like he's locked in this space. That will only get him 1 point in the championship, and that's not what he needs at all. The man who's currently 8th in the standings with 25 points. And it's not been his day at all. Speaking of things not going their way, Legacy, the gap now 7 seconds. 4 laps ago, these guys were racing wheel to wheel. I've never seen such a fall off in performance. Maybe it's the tyres, maybe it's time to come into the pit lane as we near the halfway mark for this race. We're only 4 laps off, being 50% done with this Grand Prix. And how things have changed up is crazy. And Captain Angus, a chokehold on this entire race at the moment. Purple in the third sector yet again. This man only getting quicker in the Aston Martin. 7.5 seconds the gap now. The gap between second and first is just about the same as the gap between second and third. I've never seen anything like this before. For it to come out this quickly, the performance, and especially this late on in the race with tyres that are this old, is absolute craziness. 14 laps old. The enters on most drivers apart from IFC Pines and TRC Limitless, who both pitted with damage. 8 lap old intermediates on the Ferrari and 7 lap old enters on the Red Bull, who has gotten past the Ferrari and are wheel to wheel racing through the first sector. And I'm sorry that we missed the start of this, folks, but the Ferrari is back ahead. The Ferrari is back ahead, and is that the end of this story? I do not think it is, because through the end of the first sector and into the second sector, we're going to see these guys racing again. There we go. TRC Limitless still chasing the IFC Pines, the story that we've heard for so many laps. Is it going to change now? He's going to try down the inside. The door's shut by IFC Pines. And that's not what you want to see at all. And a bit of contact, maybe front wing to rear tyre there. I don't know, but it could have went so much worse than that. TRC Limitless stays behind Pines for now. But I think this is going to be a battle to keep our eye on for quite a while yet. What a race it's been, and what a terrible race it's been for TRC Limitless, who I think might be trying a move again. All lists for P9, but every point counts, especially this early on in the championship. The Captain Angus, a lead of 8.6 seconds to the Ferrari, who really needs to pull his socks up if he wants to try and retain the lead. As Angus finishes the first sector, and the Ferrari is barely halfway through it. Here we go though, we watch on again, on board with the Red Bull, we're on board with the Ferrari. And look, the speed difference is barely there. Both of them using overtake, and it's just not working out at all. Oops. It's just not working out at all. And the Ferrari, or the Red Bull, sorry, who's just about lost it in the first sector there, V8X Ghost. This is going to be a weekend for Red Bull to forget. Then Astrojet and Scion, who are decently close together, most likely the closest pairing, without that being counted, TRC Limitless and Pines. Then Jordistan, Callum, Mutke, Legacy and Captain Angus, 8.6 seconds, the gap between the Aston Martin driver and P2. Craziness in this Grand Prix. It has been relatively quiet in terms of safety cars. 1 VSC, however, 4 DNFs has left only every driver in the points to contend in this race. If you finish and cross the checkered flag now, you're still guaranteed at least 1 point in the Drivers' Championship. However, for this man, it will be 26 points in the championship as opposed to 18 points for Legacy. Mutke is followed by the Haas of Calm, Jordistan and the Alfa Romeo. That's our top 5 at the moment, and they are super spread out. The gap between 5th and 1st is 21 seconds, 22 seconds nearly, or at least on the latter half of which. Craziness. 36 seconds, the gap between the leader and P10. And we've got a track hazard, and something's happened there. Yellow flags on the start-finish straight, and I think it's TRC Limitless who's retiring in the pit lane. Was it collision? Was it collision? You have to wonder between these two, whilst we weren't looking. And this is one of those moments where you wish you had a replay for league racing. The Ferrari of IFC Pines will retain 9th place. It's last place now. And this safety car has been deployed. And that 9-second gap between Legacy and Angus is going to come right down. Our first safety car of the session. And here it is now. Whoa. Lap 17 of 36. We're now halfway through this Grand Prix. Or thereabouts. And the safety car has been deployed for the first time. TRC Limitless in the Red Bull, who started P2, is 10th and out of this session. This will bunch the grid right up, because into the pits comes the Aston Martin of TRC Limitless. And here we go now. Is it going to be front wing replacement? No, it's not. Are we going to see more drivers than this in the pit lane just now? As he comes in for new intermediates, are they going to take him to the end? Because iLegacy is also into the pit lane for Ferrari. He's going to come in. Is the AlphaTauri going to come in? Yes, he is. And we'll work out in just a little second. Is the Haas coming in? Yes, he is. Oh, nearly into the wall as well. Jordistan stays out and he's going to retain the lead of this Grand Prix. No, he's not. No, he's not, because Captain Angus is going to maintain the lead instead. The Alfa Romeo Jordistan gets promoted to second. Cyan Desert stays out, he goes P3. Astrojet's into the pits and the sister McLaren. IFC Pines maybe staying out, maybe coming in. He has the youngest tyres of the lot. Is he going to come into the pit lane? Let's find out. No, he's not. He's going to stay out, and he's going to be ahead of the Red Bull of V8X and the McLaren of Astrojet. And he's going to be just behind the Haas of Callum, who is on his way out of the pit lane now. He retains 6th place at this moment in time. Captain Angus, after pitting for new enters, has taken the lead and retained the lead here. Wow. And if you thought that the dominance couldn't get much better for the man in the Aston Martin, he's pitted and retained first position from the Alfa Romeo of Jordistan, the McLaren of Sion, who's trying to heat up his tyres under the safety car. Legacy in the Ferrari, who was running second but following behind, is in 4th now. Mutke in the AlphaTauri, followed by the Haas of Callum. IFC Pines in the sister Ferrari, so the one currently running in 4th. He's in P7 at the moment. Astrojet in the McLaren is followed closely by the Red Bull, currently in last place at the moment, V8X Ghost. IFC Pines, possibly the source of some controversy if there was collision between himself and TRC Limitless that has allowed TRC to retire from this session just now. 9 drivers remain. Craziness here in the Dutch hills. And this is it now. This could be it now for the race, I'd argue. Unless iLegacy can cut through these two who are yet to stop, and then try and catch back up, and he has to do it all over again to get back past Captain Angus, and I just can't think that it's possible. This is the other Ferrari, not the one we're talking about at the moment, IFC Pines, who's currently in P7. 18 lap old enters on Cyan Desert and Jordistan. They are yet to stop in this Grand Prix. They've got to stop eventually, and they've got to let the Ferrari of iLegacy through to get back into that fight with Captain Angus. If they stop behind the safety car, Cyan and Jordi, then Legacy will be right behind the Aston Martin at the restart. That all depends on if Captain Angus can keep it on the track at the restart. I mean, we've seen how people can just switch on the car into race mode like that. I just can't see it not being a little bit of a cautionary tale to try and redo that in wet conditions, especially considering how damp the track will be. Captain Angus needs to keep these tyres warm. I can't see the safety car not being in this lap. I can't see us coming back into race conditions on lap 20 of 36. Will Captain Angus boss this restart? Will he take control of this race once again? The Aston Martin F1 car following the Aston Martin safety car at the moment. Here we go then. Now this is the moment of truth. Will the safety car come in now? Because if so, that means that Legacy will have to fight through both the McLaren and the Aston Martin. And the safety car is coming in this lap, and the leader slows right down, backs the pack right up. His main opposition here, iLegacy and the Ferrari, who've fallen off in performance, maybe abetting to some tyre issues, perhaps. I suppose we'll find out. But here we go. This is the man to beat at the moment. Captain Angus, who leads this restart. He'll really want to catch them all off guard. And look how they're trying to heat their tyres in the top 4. They know that they need to absolutely ace this restart here. There's only one driver now not heating his tyres, or not trying to heat their tyres. Captain Angus now We'll need to jump them, and he's gone, and he's gone, and he's got them all. And that's him. The Aston Martin's away, and it's nearly a 1 second gap as we get ready to go racing again. And here we go, down the start finish straight we go. Sion might be looking for a move here. He's going to try to run the outside here, and here at Holland, at his Dutch Grand Prix, now his home Grand Prix, switching back into turn 1, and it's amazing racing from the McLaren man to put himself back up into second. Older intermediate tyres. There's a crash for Callum, who's put it in the wall, but Sion is ahead. Driver 74 at his home Grand Prix sees himself second to the leader just now. And another yellow flag because Jordy Stan is out of this Grand Prix. Not something you want to see. The man who was just fighting for second place with the McLaren man is out. Sion Desert retains P2. Well done to driver 74, and a really smooth move on the exit of turn 1. It was ballsy, but it was cautious, and he's found the perfect balance there. He nearly lost that balance when he spun on that corner just there, as you saw. However, Sion Desert in the McLaren is up into second place, and Captain Angus retains his lead by 3 seconds, and the safety car's returned again. And I think that may be a betting to that to the Alfa Romeo who's in the wall, and the safety car will come back out again. Sion's best bet has to be to come into the pit lane this lap, especially on those old tyres. He's not stopped once this Grand Prix. It will be the only logical option. We've just seen that he's been able to capitalise on the restarts. Is he? Yes, he is. He's not coming into the pit lane, and I think a last minute decision there that may or may not cost him the race, and I suppose we will find out very shortly. Is he going to try and do this whole Grand Prix on this tyre? I don't know. He will retain P2 from Captain Angus, who's on super new inters. IFC Pines and Callum both into the pit lane, possibly front wing repair. I don't think it was front wing repair for... It wasn't front wing repair for the Ferrari. I believe it was switching in from 13 lap old inters. Callum back into the pits again, and that's front wing replacement there. Sion Desert finds himself right behind him again. And Sion Desert, our driver, telling us that there is 5 to 10 minutes to dry conditions. We could see that within the last 10 laps of racing maybe. Craziness here at Zandvoort with only 8 drivers remaining. Callum into the pit lane. We could have seen him fall back. We're not going to see him fall back now. He's going to be able to catch up before the safety car comes in for sure. Sion Desert though, who we are speaking to in the Twitch chat just now, he's on 25%, where at worst, is he going to try and make the jump straight onto dries? And I can only assume so. And if he can, then he's absolutely bossed this one. He could see himself a home win at his home Grand Prix. Are we going to see that? We might find out soon. We're going to find out over the next couple of laps as the safety car draws back in. He has to be careful not to make any collision under that safety car though. A penalty would absolutely crush his hopes for a win here. So we need to find out exactly what the plan will be for him. Behind iLegacy, the man who was on pole position, who's fallen behind the Aston Martin. Whoa, and it was nearly collision there between Captain Angus. I don't know if you saw that one there. Captain Angus coming right across the front. Oh, and contact! And contact for Captain Angus. Is it wing damage? It may well be wing damage. He's hit the wall on the start finish straight, and that would have woken up Sion right well, as he could be put into the lead. If Captain Angus has to pit and replace that wing, Sion would be handing down the lead. Captain Angus trying to heat up his tyres here. He has to be so much more cautious than that if he wants to retain this position, especially behind the safety car. Even if he's relegated to 8th, even with the pace that he has in the wet, it may not be enough. He's heating up those tyres in every place that I personally think he shouldn't be. On that start finish straight to make contact with the wall, super dangerous, but to try and make a tyre warm up in the first sector of Zandvoort, it's almost suicide. Captain Angus leads us from Sion Desert, iLegacy, Mute K, V8X Ghost, Astrojet, IFC Pines and Callum. Your 8 drivers remaining in this IFC Tier 4 Dutch Grand Prix. We're gonna hopefully, for Captain Angus, get a rerun of the perfect restart that he had against Jordy Stan, the man who's now out of this Grand Prix and arguably causing this second safety car. Are we going to see another dream restart? Is Sion going to catch him in the act and get him on the restart, because the safety car is in this lap and we are about to find out. This is Captain Angus leading this Grand Prix for a majority. maintained the lead after his first pit stop on our first safety car of this Grand Prix. Will Sion, who's hunting down a maiden home Grand Prix victory, will he be able to catch the leader on the restart and retain the lead for the rest of this Grand Prix as we make the transition into dry conditions? We're going to find out now, and we'll watch on board with the Aston Martin. Is he going to try? Oh, contact! And there is contact! Sion is off the track there, and it's a 5-second penalty for each. What was that? Captain Angus comes across the front of the McLaren, and you can't help but think that was a little bit offensive on the tyre warm-up. He's going to try and go for the restart now. I can't have seen that possibly being fair. I'm sure the stewards will have a further look into that beyond a 5-second time penalty. We are racing again. Captain Angus has retained the lead after that collision, and I can't see that at all being fair. However, Captain Angus maintains the lead against Sion, who also has a 5-second time penalty, much like the race leader. iLegacy in the Ferrari, Mutke in the AlphaTauri. V8X Ghost and Astrojet both have 5-second time penalties. V8X Ghost trying to do some damage control here and get past the AlphaTauri of Mutke. Astrojet, Callum and IFC Pines rounding off your top 8, the drivers left in this Grand Prix. 2 seconds already, the gap between Sion Desert and Captain Angus, and look just how quickly they are already, still in these wet conditions. Wow, and I could not have expected that as a safety car restart myself, and I'm sure Sion certainly wasn't. Captain Angus to do the tyre warm-up mid-corner there, I just can't have seen that personally being safe. I've never seen something like that in F1 in the real world, and I can't say I would have seen something like this, or at least expected to have seen something like this in IFC. Anyway, Captain Angus leads us away. He also has a 5-second time penalty. Could Sion still salvage this? You have to wonder. I suppose we will find out. However, at the moment, Captain Angus maintains the lead of 3.4 seconds. He's going to have to open that gap as far as he can to maintain the lead and take home the win for Aston Martin. Lap 23 of 36, 15 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. We're going to be making the transition to dry conditions very shortly. And as it gets drier now, Captain Angus sets the fastest lap. The man who has been a bit of a dominant force in the wet is going to try it down the inside of Sion now as we go on board with the McLaren, who at the moment is wheel to wheel with the Ferrari but stays ahead for now. A terrific game of defence from Sion Desert here at his home Grand Prix, also trying to do damage control much like the Red Bull that's down currently in P5. This is great news for Captain Angus. He's extending that lead more and more. If he can get that to 5 seconds, that penalty that he's been given on the safety car restart will practically diminish into nothing, and he'll be able to make that stop onto the dry tyres most likely next time round and maintain the Grand Prix lead. Sion Desert, however, has it all to make up. The gap now 5 seconds between the leader and second place, and that means that 5-second penalty that he was given on the safety car is practically non-existent now, and Sion maintains second, but the question is for how long? iLegacy right on the end of that McLaren gearbox. Is he going to try it down the inside? No, he is not. However, we look to the lead, and it seems as though the rain has stopped here at Zandvoort. We saw the times picking up for the Aston Martin, who's once again set the fastest time on this Grand Prix. But we watch on with P2 and P3. I think the Aston Martin has decided to stay out. Yeah, and the lap times are getting quicker, and it is getting drier around the track. Sion Desert in P2 at the moment, maybe defending from the Ferrari, who's going to give it a go around the inside anyway, or around the outside, correct me. And is he going to get it done? Yes, he is. He is for now. They're going to be side by side, but into turn 3 and turn 4, Sion Desert ducks out of the move and is down into P3. The man with a 5-second time penalty at the moment has fallen down the order. This is exactly against the plan that he would have had at the start of this Grand Prix. 11 laps to go. The lead currently 6.6 seconds separating P1 and P2. Captain Angus trying to minimise the damage that penalty will cause, and I think he's doing that quite well now. The Aston Martin currently up in P1, looking to wait for the call to pit in for dry tyres. We've not heard the call yet, we've not seen anyone pit yet. Sion Desert, could his plan to go straight from inters on the start to dry tyres midway through the race on a one-stop strategy, could it still work out for him? It looks like those tyres are starting to wear in now, and it looks like he's starting to lose performance as a result. However, someone who's not lost performance whatsoever is Captain Angus, still keeping a firm hold on P1 for the time being. The Ferrari and P2 iLegacy, the gap now 7 seconds between these two here. We'll watch with the Aston Martin, who stays out once again. The rain has completely stopped with our drivers. Captain Angus goes on again to set the fastest lap of this race on 1 minute 19.653. This is absolute craziness. I've not seen anything like this in a wet race, where the drivers are still so courageous in these types of conditions. P2, 3, 4, and 5 now catching up, or 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're all together now, including the McLaren, who looks to be trying to get involved as well. 7th and 8th are really close behind as well. Captain Angus has a clear path ahead of him. Legacy's got a clear... Oh, and I think there's somebody who might have had an off here. No, nobody's had an off. It was a ghost yellow flag there, correct me. However, all the way up to 3rd, it's going to be a close battle. P1 and P2, well, I mean, it seems like they're going to have a clear path ahead of them. Captain Angus for sure has a clear path ahead of him on his way to the checkered flag. There's 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We're in dry conditions now. The Enters still seem to be to have the clearance to race under these conditions. No one's made an effort to box. No one's had to take any proactive action in terms of getting more grip into the car. Well, we see a box for dry tyres for Captain Angus. Is he going to try and take a move super early ahead of the other drivers? No, he's not. He stays out yet another lap here. Legacy 8 seconds behind, and Scion Desert. Angus goes ahead and sets another quickest lap, and someone falling down the order is Mutke, who is facing the wrong way, spins right back round. He's down to the bottom in the AlphaTauri. Everybody else moves up. McLaren's now running 3rd and 4th, and I believe someone's into the pit lane. It is, and it's someone for the dry tyres, it's someone for the soft tyres, and it is VAX Ghost in the Red Bull, having to serve that 5-second time penalty before they begin work on his car. And they're taking everything that they need to off, and they're sending them back out on those soft tyres. Is it going to work out? A Sebastian Vettel-esque gamble here as we watch him make his way towards the pit exit. Is it going to be worth it? Let's see. Oh, he's really cautious on the throttle here already. Not really a good sign. Captain Angus retaining a lead of 8 seconds. Let's see exactly how it's going to look on the pit exit for the Red Bull here. Oh. Yeah, look at that, and he's all over the place, and he's nearly off there. And it's like a game of Formula Drift here, never mind Formula 1. Captain Angus retains the lead still on those intermediate tyres, and he'll be looking at how slow the AX Ghost is. And Mutke has a 3-second time penalty. However, Captain Angus will be looking at how slow that soft tyre is and thinking, I don't want that just yet. Will he pit? I don't think he's going to pit now. No, he's staying out yet another lap. He knows that he can still have confidence that those tyres will still perform, because he's went on and set another quickest lap. As we look back at the Red Bull, who just seems to be struggling. Look at it, it's like ice skating now. Craziness for these drivers here in the Dutch Grand Prix. And as we start to make a transition into dry conditions, and it's just not worked out at all for the Red Bull on the soft tyre at the moment. It's just not been his day. Red Bull's day go from bad to worse. IFC Arrows, the academy leader, won't be happy with what he's seen here. And dare I say it, for TRC Limitless's case, it wasn't all his fault. However, towards the front of the grid, Captain Angus still maintaining a lead on this Grand Prix of 9 seconds. Is it time yet to come in and fit those soft or medium tyres? It has to be the softs surely, with only 10 laps to go. Oh, and a crash and a spin for the Red Bull, and that is the other Red Bull out. Is it a safety car? It is. It's got to be now, surely. It has to be now to say box and come in to fit the soft tyre. Surely, especially with the safety car, that will preserve these tyres even further. They won't have to put any power into them. There's no risk of spinning out. Even if we go onto the dry tyres now, VAX Ghost is out of this Grand Prix, and Red Bull's day go from bad to worse to even worse on the start-finish straight here. And as we see the race leader into the pit lane now, everyone surely's got to file into the pits. I see no plausible world. He's going to have to serve that penalty, however. Remember, he's going to have to serve the penalty. A 5-second time penalty. Is it really going to phase him? Well, I don't think it will. I don't think it can. And we're out back on track. He's fitted those soft tyres. Pretty much everyone's in apart from Astrojet stayed out. Bit of McLaren team orders there while Scion's in the pit lane. The only person to have stayed out on track is IFC Pines, the AlphaTauri with a 3-second time penalty, Mutke, and Astrojet, who now leads this Grand Prix for the first time here in Holland. Captain Angus, P2, is followed by IFC Legacy. We could see a similar battle to what we've seen at the start of this weekend, or at the start of this race. And in the last 7 laps of this Grand Prix, the stakes could not be higher as we finally get onto these dry tyres. We're going to see the times really pick up now. Captain Angus, now P2, just behind the man on intermediates. This has got to be an easy pass for him, especially considering Astrojet's time penalty, 5 seconds that he has. Scion Desert, however, man to have benefited the least, including that 5-second time penalty has sent him all the way down to 7th. Callum has a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, and also has lost the front wing. He's going to be sent down to 7th now. Sion graduates to 6th place on the timing screens now. He's going to look for redemption in the closing laps of this Grand Prix. Surely. Back up with the leader, the sister McLaren to Sion Desert at his home Grand Prix. It's Astrojet, the American, who is leading against Captain Angus and the Aston Martin, who has been no lower than 5th place in this Grand Prix. IFC Pines, Legacy, Mutke, Sion Desert and Callum. These Ferraris, IFC Pines not been a good day, but he's back up here now. He's back in P3 and P4. Whoa. It has been a crazy race. Just need to check something here just while we're under safety car conditions. And IFC Pines needs an invite back. Maybe try and get that done whilst the safety car is out. So he'll have been racing on control there, and he'll be happy not to have lost any positions there. And thank goodness for that. We're now on the crossover. Everyone, apart from, I believe, only Astrojet is the only driver yet to have pitted. There are 3 drivers yet to have pitted. Mutke, Pines and Astrojet. Callum 869 has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Things go from bad to worse for the Ferrari powered Haas car. And the top 3 are Astrojet, Captain Angus and IFC Pines. Captain Angus looking to make it a victory. The man second in the standings looking to make it a victory here as Zandvoort. Sion Desert currently in P6. He needs to do something here surely to try and maximise on this position. And he's maxing the revs out on his car just now. I don't know if he's trying to burn fuel or something there. Astrojet could try and play the team game here if he stays out on those intermediates, because he still is. He could try and hold up this Aston Martin, or try and hold up the pack, so that Sion can maximise on position. And God only knows what Sion Desert's up to in the other McLaren there. Astrojet still leads us despite his penalty. And the safety car is yet to be taken in with only 6 laps to go. Surely it's got to be a next lap. It'll give us 5 laps of racing. Here is Zandvoort. It has been one hell of a race, as Jensen Button would put it. And we're getting ready to go once again. And I think if the safety car is in the next lap, then it's a race that as well as finished behind the safety car. Will we see Astrojet come in from McLaren? We're about to find out here. What a race it has been. Are we going to see that McLaren? No, we're not, and he stays out again on the intermediates. And practically dry conditions now. IFC Pines choosing the safest option, but speeding in the pit lane is into the pits to replace the inters, go onto the soft tyres. They're going to do the pit stop anyway. It will be a 5-second race time penalty. Sion up into 5th place then for McLaren. Mutke with a 3-second time penalties ahead of him, so we can practically call it P4 for the McLaren man. However, the other McLaren man who currently leads this Grand Prix on 12-lap-old intermediates. I cannot possibly understand how they can stay out on this tyre for that long, especially considering the safety car's got to be in this lap. If that Ferrari does catch the pack, there's no way that the safety car won't just come in this lap. Sion telling us that Captain should get a penalty for pushing him off at the restart and giving him damage. So there was also damage on the McLaren, possibly still there at the moment if it wasn't front wing damage. And we're only just hearing this information now. The pack is caught up. Astrojet, unfortunately, I have to say it, I'm going to get a little opinionated here, that it has been the wrong call over at McLaren, because I just can't see a reality where these intermediates are just going to get any grip into the track at all. He's already falling off the racing line. And if the safety car is in this lap, which as predicted it is, Astrojet will lead us on this restart, and I can't see it being a successful one, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a bit of a drowning session for the McLaren. I can't see him not falling down the tables. Intermediates in these super dry conditions now. It's went from wet to damp, and the intermediates are still on show for both the AlphaTauri of Mutke and the McLaren of Astrojet, who's currently leading this Grand Prix. It's been a nice couple laps to see the papaya orange McLaren in the lead. However, I can't see it staying that way forever, unfortunately. We get ready for the restart. Someone's going to have to try and catch him off guard eventually, and it's going to be the McLaren. Has Captain Angus caught him? Well, I mean, Astrojet's into the pits anyway. Whoa, something's going wrong there. Whoa! And we're losing touch everywhere now. Sion Desert up into second. He's challenging for P2 here. Whoa. And Sion Desert, I believe, is up into second place. He is. He isn't chasing Captain Angus. He needs this stronger drive in the wet. I believe a Ferrari has fallen down the order as well. 1 second already, however. The gap between Sion and Angus in the Aston Martin, and this is all getting a bit much to keep up with. Only 7 drivers remain in the session, yet so much going on, and there's a Haas right on the back of this McLaren right now. Wow, what a restart from Sion, from 4th to 2nd already. 4 laps remain in this Grand Prix. If they can both keep it on the track, it's going to be a Dutch podium for the Dutchman in the McLaren. And Captain Angus looking to retain a race win here again and to improve on his championship position at the moment. 2nd in the standings. Wow. And at the moment, we're on the run over time to get into Tier 3. But I hope they're ready to miss it, because this has been a race of a lifetime, or a race that seems to have lasted a lifetime. Sion, purple in the 2nd sector, quicker than Captain Angus. He'll need to begin to use that battery eventually to try and catch up to the McLaren, or catch up to the Aston Martin, and he is going to start draining the battery now. Captain Angus sets the quickest lap. He's not going to be beaten by Sion here. The quickest lap now, 1 minute 15.7. It has been a race that has seen heartbreak for some and recovery from others. Certainly for Sion, it's been less of a recovery and more of a comeback. The Ferrari of iLegacy gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But Sion Desert, this is the man to look out for just now. 2.2 seconds now, and vastly opening, and iLegacy into the pit lane to repair the front nose. And I can't help but think that that's his chances of improving anywhere beyond 7th. I can't see there being much more improvement there, considering how far back he is, and a 5-second time penalty to boot. Captain Angus and Sion Desert are your top 2 at the moment, with only 3 laps remaining. And I think it would be only right, unfortunately, not to have any interviews. And to that, I do dearly apologise to everybody who's watching along with us in this Grand Prix. It has been a long Grand Prix. It's been a Grand Prix certainly to enjoy. 2.3 seconds now, the gap between Sion and Captain Angus in this Grand Prix. It has been craziness after absolute controversy here, including maybe a penalty post-race for Captain Angus and Sion Desert after that incident there. Captain Angus improving on his time again in 1 minute 14.1. The track is actively getting drier. It's still overcast, but it's certainly not raining, and it's certainly much drier, and certainly dry enough for these soft tyres. There was 14 drivers at the start of this Grand Prix. We're left with half of them by the time that there's 2 laps remaining. And with 2.7 seconds, the gap between Captain Angus and Sion Desert, you can't help but think that the Aston Martin has had this race on strings. He's purple in the 1st sector again. But taking the purple 1st sector is IFC Pines, and the Ferrari is getting all so much to keep up with now. Sion Desert, 2.7 seconds. He's trying to keep this pace. I just don't think it's going to happen. There's yellow flags again because Astrojet is out, and this sister McLaren to the one currently in the podium places is out of this Grand Prix. All eyes though on the remaining McLaren, the remaining of 2 Mercedes engines left in this Grand Prix. 1 and 2, these Mercedes engines. The McLaren driver, Academy driver, Captain Angus, and Sion Desert, the reserve in the McLaren, returning to the seat of which he resided in Season 3. And he's back in P2, back in the McLaren, back in the Papaya Orange race suit, and he's going to be defending against the man from Maranello, or the team from Maranello at least. Captain Angus once again sets another super quick time, followed by IFC Pines on 1 minute 12.7, a super quick lap because he's going to be challenging Sion Desert now. DRS, I believe, has now been re-enabled. 6 drivers left in this Grand Prix now, because Astrojet is of course now out. IFC Pines, Sion Desert, Captain Angus, ascending order, not only in terms of finishing position, but also in terms of race performance. I'd say the Ferrari now, whoa, right on the gearbox of that McLaren there, getting way too close for comfort, I believe. We're on the penultimate lap, and stakes couldn't be higher. In terms of the race lead, 3.7 seconds still the gap between Captain Angus and Sion Desert. The only thing that will give Sion this win now is a DNF or a penalty for Captain Angus. However, IFC Pines with DRS on the McLaren. Sion moving a little bit just before they get into the braking zone, nothing enough to incur a penalty, I wouldn't think. And IFC Pines has a 5-second time penalty anyway. He's going to retain 3rd place, but if he got past Sion, he'd have to make up 5 seconds worth of time in 1 lap. We begin the final lap of this Grand Prix, and this is your race leader just now, Captain Angus in the Aston Martin, who's had a chokehold this entire Grand Prix. He's been the king around this Dutch racetrack, and that has been no change as we made the transition from wet to dry conditions. But sorry, I've completely lost it there as Pines has gotten past Sion. Sion now needs to try and keep this gap under 5 seconds here. It's at half a second just now. Mutkeys went fastest with a 1 minute 12.5, but all eyes now lay on this podium place. 5 second penalty for IFC Pines. Sion trying to maximise this position, trying to look for P2 at the moment. It's going to be super close here. P2 is practically decided now as long as Sion can keep on the track, but it lays with this man who rounds the final corner now. A chokehold as we went from wet to dry conditions here at Zandvoort, and he's going to win the Dutch Grand Prix now, and his Captain Angus, a man second in the standings, increases his points advantage against P3, who's not competing this Grand Prix. Sion moves up to second in his home Grand Prix, gets ahead of the Ferrari with a 5 second time penalty. And as we watch the rest of the drivers round in this super slow race, or a race that has taken a lot of time, certainly an entertaining one nonetheless, as he slows down and takes the line at P4. Mutke with a 3 second time penalty is going to come back round. Callum has had 5 seconds added onto his race time. He'll most likely hold on to that P4, and he does. And iLegacy, currently in last place and falling quite behind the rest of the pack, is going to come round to finish in P6 despite the 5 second time penalty. Is there going to be further action against the incident between Sion and Captain Angus? I suppose we'll find out soon enough. You have to say it was kind of a dominant performance from the Aston Martin driver there. 4.8 seconds the gap at the flag. It's 2 tenths off. If Captain Angus, if there's further action post-race after the end to that safety car restart towards the end of this Grand Prix, Sion Desert could take a home Grand Prix victory. And this is your order now. After such a long race, considering the lack of drivers who finished this Grand Prix, only 6 drivers who finished this race. Astrojet still included in the classification in P7, but 6 drivers to take the flag. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We're falling a bit behind with the Tier 3 stream. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon for Tier 3. Thank you all.